Hi everyone, this is Jim Bussard meeting you on the Morning Jolt. Today we will meet with Mr. Sterling, Jessica, Darsh, and Remy to discuss cell phone use in the classroom. These podcasts will be focused on improving digital literacy in the classroom and provoking thought. We also hope to use it as a platform for teachers and students to share their amazing ideas. These podcasts will be available from the Tech for Teachers website found on the Teacher Hub. The most current show will be shared on the Hub at the beginning of each week. We hope you enjoy it. We guarantee it will improve the effectiveness of your teaching and communication in the classroom. We're talking about smartphone or cell phone use in the school. There's been a lot of discussion with the teachers, and at the admin council last night we had a very thorough discussion about it. And I think this is a great opportunity to get feedback from you and get insight from the students on how you feel about smartphones in the classroom.
I know that it's found as a distraction, but at the same time, I don't feel like it matters if you tell students to bring them in or not. Students are still going to bring them in.
Is there a way, I'm always curious about that, because then there are some teachers who are able to do that, who are able to have their class and they do control cell phones in their class.
But no one follows. I know that for a fact. I'm sitting in the back of the classroom, I can see people going on their phones, and everyone knows the rules and abides by them when the teacher walks by, but there's still going to be a distraction. I feel like teachers need to find a way to incorporate them into their lesson.
Yeah, that's the key. If
to
we
make
can
it more useful.
Incorporate them, it would work so much nicer, but how do we do that?
I had a similar discussion about cell phones at a city council meeting, and I mean, the idea of Mr. McLean having at the back, he has like a wooden box where you could charge your phone, like something like that, where you could put your phone away, but it's not like you're forced to put your phone away kind of thing. I feel like it wouldn't hurt the students. They wouldn't feel like, whose cell phones are being banned. It could work both ways, pleasing both the teachers and the students. Get something like that where you could charge your phone at the back during the class.
Okay. So when I look at it, students can get frustrated because of the way that phones are dealt with, but then the teachers also get frustrated because their number one concern is having learning happening inside the classroom. So they see these obstacles of having to deal with cell phones continually over and over and over again. And they're like, this is a battle that we're not winning. Students continually are sneaking their phones out. They're looking on their phones. They're getting sidetracked with social media. And it's really interfering with the learning that's happening in the classroom. So there's some teachers that are getting to the point where they want to take all the phones when the students come in, put them to the side, and then you get your phone back at the end of the class. How do you guys feel about that?
Well, one problem that I feel with that is that you don't really know whose phone it is, so there's a greater chance that your cell phone is going to be stolen, or you might have a chance of stealing anyone's phone before the teacher hands them out, so that at the end, no one really knows where their phone went.
I think that's always my fear as a teacher. If you collect the phones and you make a mistake, someone grabs the wrong one, you're talking about a $600, $700 piece of technology that now you're talking to parents about what happened to the phone, and I'm always a bit apprehensive of collecting phones.
I feel like that can be easily solved by, if we put it in like a cell phone pouch where there are numbers, I feel like students would hesitate from stealing, even thinking of stealing, or
Yeah.
But I also think that our age group has almost a severe addiction to our phones. There's no denying that. So when that's taken away from you, when that piece of technology is taken away from you, it's almost more distracting than when you have it with you. Because yes, you're checking it, yes, you're on it, but then when you don't have it with you, you're staring at it, you're thinking, oh, what could be going off? If an alarm goes off, or if you hear a notification, you're like, who is that from? What's happening? I need to check it. What time is it? I don't know how to function without it, because we've gone so long getting so used to them. So I feel like that's a little bit too abrupt way to go about the situation. I feel like we need to ease into that if that's the direction that teachers are wanting to go.
I try to incorporate phones in my classroom as much as I can. I try and take advantage of them, but I still get students that will start off with the appropriate technology and using the phone for the appropriate reason in the class, but then all of a sudden they get sidetracked. A text comes in or something else happens on their phone, and then all of a sudden they're on this other tangent or they're doing something that has completely nothing to do with our class. So that's what I'm trying to figure out I advocate technology and I love the use of it in the classroom, but as soon as it becomes a hindrance and it's an obstacle that I'm trying to overcome, it does become frustrating. I'm trying to figure out a middle ground where you can really take advantage of the use of a cell phone, but the social media is the big problem. And you talk about the addiction. I don't know, for you guys, is it more uncomfortable having the phone? Like you're saying that if it's not on your being, then you become more anxious and there's more anxiety than if the teacher takes it away.
For what I've seen from most students and my friends and peers, I see them when their phone dies, the first thing that they have on their mind is, where can I get a charger? Not, oh, am I going to be late to class? It's like that they're completely consumed.
Well, I know for myself, one of the biggest anxieties that I have with my cell phone is the thought that my parents have something wrong going on. Because my sister is 10 years old, everybody's at work, and my sister doesn't have a cell phone, so the only contact there is between me and my parents. Anything wrong happens, I need to be on the phone so that I can get home and take care of my sister or the dog or anything that's going on.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
What about your health? Like, what about your sleep patterns? There's a lot of research coming out now that's talking about cell phone use, and if you use social media for over 2 hours a day, they're seeing higher increases in anxiety, higher increases in depression, and they're seeing higher increases in suicide. Those are all things, and it's evidence, it's real, that they're saying social media is causing these health issues. How do you guys feel about it?
Well, I personally have anxiety, which causes insomnia. So I can never sleep at night, but I've never found it when I'm laying there in bed for 3 hours not sleeping. I'm not thinking about, oh, I wonder what's going on my phone, because my phone is plugged in the kitchen away from me, powered down, and I'm in my room and I'm not allowed to go out and get it. It's not really like that is the issue for me, but I feel like where most of my anxiety is stemmed from is from social interactions and is from like actual talking to people, which isn't good.
Real physical interaction?
Yes, it gives me
more
stress.
So? Really?
But that's probably due to you not having so much social interaction because you're on your phone. So
you're more comfortable with phone interaction.
Yes, and you're more socially awkward, I guess you could say, because you don't know how to interact with people. That's one thing that you haven't developed. I grew up a very social child because I had lots of family and we never had electronics because we didn't really grow up with that much money, and we became more in tune with each other. Like my mom and I will sit at the table playing cards for hours, laughing at each other's jokes.
That's awesome.
We don't ever really check our phone. Maybe we'll put on music, but if I have interaction and I'm being social with someone at lunch, I don't have any need to be on my phone.
I also grew up social, but just as I've gone further and further into high school, I don't know if it's just high school, I don't know if it's just the age I'm in, but
I know myself as an educator, it's very, very seldom I go to other people for references or to get information. I almost always go to YouTube videos. So that interaction where I go and I collaborate with other people, it happens, but the majority of the time it's happening with me and someone I don't know that's presenting a YouTube video.
I think for us too, when you have that, when you remember what it was like without, and then you have a world where you can't imagine not having your phone anymore, it's some weird social realities with it. Like you can kind of ignore someone too. You've seen that where people don't want to talk to you. So suddenly they're on their phone, you get that too. And you get,
it's a good way of avoiding people.
It's a
great
way
escape.
of not having to talk. Like when my daughter was a teenager and we'd be at the table and her and her girlfriend would have their phones out, it was a way of saying to the world, I don't really want to interact with you right now. I'd much rather interact with this person who's not here.
But there is some days when it's just like, it's amazing. Because you're having the worst day ever. Mm-hmm. And you really, if someone wants to talk to you, you're not emotionally stable to have a conversation right now, or you're in a bad mood, and it's kind of like, hey, not only am I protecting my feelings from having, like, it's exhausting for me to have a conversation right now, mm-hmm. but I'm also protecting you so you don't have to deal with my horrible mood at the moment, because my earbuds are in, and I'm sorry that I'm in a bad mood, but, like, I won't bother you with my bad mood because my earbuds are in, so there's not even going to be conflict.
There's that huge tune-out factor, and you see it daily as a teacher. The kids will have the one earbud in, and they're listening to music, I'm assuming, but they're tuning you out. They're saying you're kind of half interesting. Mm-hmm. I'm listening with one ear right now. But
I also know students who have major test anxiety, and their only wish is that they would be allowed to listen to music because it just calms them down when they're learning or helps some students focus. So it's just kind of some students do not need music at all to help them focus, but others need it, like it's a necessity. They need some type of white noise to help them focus. And when you're not hearing people talking in the background as white noise, you're hearing music.
Yeah, I'm totally for it. I love music, obviously.
Me too.
In my room, I want that music on.
Last period, I actually had math, and I noticed that because I finished earlier and all the other kids finished earlier, everybody's on their phones. But that's a distraction to all of the other kids who aren't finished. So maybe letting the kids who are already finished out earlier could be more beneficial for the kids who are actually not finished and need extra help, because everybody else on their cell phones is making everybody around them want to be on their cell phones. Everybody wants to do what everybody else is doing.
Very true.
So I think with your point about one student having their cell phone out, it's not just a distraction to them, but it's a distraction to the other students, and it's also distracting the teacher. Like, how do you feel, teachers, as you're in the front of the class and you're talking to the students and one's just like this? Your focus just goes there, and that affects everybody. So I agree with your point that it's not just affecting one person, it affects everyone as a whole.
In that situation where you have one student that brings the phone out and they're secretly looking at stuff under their desk, when I see that in my class, there is a side of me that has this fear of this domino effect where one student starts it and then all of a sudden it's exploded and the entire class, I've lost the entire class. They're all on their phones and I'm trying to bring everyone back in. So I definitely get that feeling
like
when I'm at the front of the class.
Even when we're asked to read out loud, or even when I'm talking to a big group and one of them's on their phone, I just lose confidence. I don't feel like talking about it anymore.
No.
I don't know how teachers feel about that too, but
Yeah, I think our audience etiquette, since cell phones have been introduced, has gone. It's terrible. Like, you watch most audiences, unless it's a movie, like if it's any kind of speaker and people listening, we become ruder and ruder, I think, as a culture. We just, our phones are out, our teachers are just as bad.
Yeah, we just
I
had
hate to say
we
that.
had teacher convention,
Yeah.
and you could tell if there was a good presenter and you're interested, then it was. But as soon as there's like a little bit of a turnaround or a lull in the speech or in the presentation, then all of a sudden you saw the phones come out.
Exactly.
And they became a little bit disengaged,
Yeah,
and they took
like
that
what Jessica's
opportunity
saying, once we're disengaged
to do
as
something
adults.
else. Yeah.
fix both the presenter
Yeah.
and the.
I do believe that if we have less lectures and we have more discussions, that will help, because then they do feel like they're being heard. I know I've already said it before, but that's just something that needs to be done, because even myself, sometimes I'll get bored and instead of going on my phone, I'll talk to the person beside me because I'm disinterested in what's going on. So maybe having more interest in the class.
Okay, so I'm gonna do this. We're gonna cut it off for you guys. We can keep talking afterwards if you want. What I want to do is, if you could share one thing that you think would make one really good idea. But if you're to say, you know what, if we could do this and not take the phones away, but make it so people could grow to use the phones accordingly, and is there something that teachers could do better, or something that students could do better? If there's something that you can think of or some insight you have, I'd love to hear it.
Okay. The thing is that if they can't do it, it's the teachers have to do it as adults. Like, honestly, they need to establish that connection with the student. They can't just be distant. They can't just stay at the front of the class, the whole class, and then just let everyone else just sit there. They have to walk around. They have to engage with the students more, which I think it will really, really.
And just to add to that, I believe that is a way that you can tell that this generation is a more social generation, because it's a necessity to have teachers interested in them and want to talk to them.
I think we need to be, the more creative we can be as teachers, to use, the genie's out of the bottle. The cell phones are there, and some teachers are great at controlling it. Most, it's part of the classroom. So the more you can use, I'm thinking like Kahoot, is that a game?
Yeah.
Kahoot.
Yeah.
Or if you can use the cell phone in a creative way to say, hey, everyone take out your cell phone. I want you to look up this quote, blah, 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 blah. The more you can use the cell phone in an educational way, the better.
I'd like to say, for the teachers, let's gain some more student involvement. Let's make the kids feel like they're needed, but also let's slowly let's slowly tear the addiction apart. Let's slowly teach some coping exercises, but I do not think that we can just straight up take phones right away.
Immediately taking the cell phones away, it's just gonna, instead of hope, heart, honor, it's just gonna encourage hatred.
All right, so this is going to wrap up our first Tech for Teachers session. This is our first actual podcast where we did a group podcast. I think we picked an excellent topic, and I'd like to thank you guys for joining us, and I look forward to seeing if anything comes of this. I know it's going to create some great discussion. People are going to listen to this, and they're going to get back into their groups, whether it's students or teachers, and I know some great conversations are going to come from that. And the more we can have these conversations, the closer we're going to come to a solution.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for having
I'm
us.
willing to do this anytime.
This was
I'll be a
actually
star of the
amazing.
morning podcast.
All right.